wholeheartedly say, I know Kyrie Irving is not anti.
When given the chance to say, are you anti, didn't say, no, I'm not anti-stop dehumanizing me. And the movie is saying, white Jew invented the Holocaust. I know that isn't right. People know when you dehumanize us this way, we know what's around the corner.
So in that same statement as those are the tropes that dehumanize Jewish people, the same buck breaking.
What's that? I don't really know what that means.
The slave masters would bring the buck, the one that gets out of line. So all the other slaves would see lash after lash, show them the power to set an example. This is what you must do to fall in line. So when we see the 6 things that Kyrie must do to get his job back, that's dehumanizing.
Now, there's a couple things we're going to break down there, but first, of course, I want to get your reaction, but also, ask the question, do you think it's smart for Nick Cannon to be speaking out in Kyrie Irving defense, being, the past that we have seen with Nick Cannon? Pierre, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on that?
I just wish that we would hold other people accountable in the same position when they do us that way. I don't know how we can't get together and make them apologize. I don't, we're asking them to apologize for something they did wrong. Sure. That video is out. Has some unfactual stuff in it. Even Kyrie admitted to it, just in case they're on the comments. Well, he admitted there was some unfactual stuff in there. And he apologized for supporting something that was unfactual, but some stuff was factual. Well, where's the same thing when we get put that in the same position? When someone puts something out about us and it's not factual, where is our come together to make that group or situation apologize for that? That's what I had.
Absolutely. Capone, let me bring you in and get your thoughts. What's your reaction to that video? But also, do you feel it's smart for Nick Cannon to speak out in defense of Kyrie Irving?
I agree with Pierre on that part. Definitely he should, Nick Cannon, like he said, experienced it. So it's a good thing for him to say it. But it's amazing to me that the same things that they accuse us of doing, they don't know anything about. Like when he told them about the buck stuff, I don't know what that is. Tell me about it. You don't read history? There's no history about us. It's just about what is important to y'all. And so with that being said, then maybe if they did a little research about what we hurt when they say these things about us, then maybe there would be a little bit more sympathy about the things that they said and stop pointing the finger so easily.
I think that was a dope point Capone made at the fact that he didn't even know what buck breaking was. And what I would have liked to seen from Nick is actually him admitting that he was in that buck breaking situation as well, because they made him apologize or else you wouldn't get your show, because they pushed back the airing of his show back in 2020 to 2021.
You remember back in March, a college student claimed that Roethlisberger assaulted her in a Georgia bar. The charges were later dropped.
This newly released cell phone video shows Ben Roethlisberger the night of the alleged sexual assault buying shots for the group of young women he had just met. He and his 20-year-old accuser posed together, smiling.
So we took pictures with him. He seemed really nice at first.
But later that night, she and her friends ran into the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback again at another club. According to her, this time things took an ugly turn.
One of his bodyguards came and didn't grab my arm, but was like, hey, come here. Took me to this back hallway.
The woman, who admitted later she was drunk, says the 6'5", 240-pound Roethlisberger came into the hallway exposing himself and then forced himself on her in this bathroom.
Trying to hide for so many years or thought I could get away with was now coming to light.
How could a football star making literally millions of dollars allegedly get involved in something like this?
Allegations of hanging, shooting, body slamming, even electrocuting dogs to death as part of a multi-state underground dog-fighting operation is a record-breaking NFL superstar, a former #1 draft pick, losing a $120 million contract over dogfights.
From just a few days earlier, the clip shows Richards shouting the N-word and other offensive comments.
You're going to have you upside down with a fucking fork up your ass! He's on! He's on! He's on! Oh my God!
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai by Hashem, Ruach HaKodesh, and double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of Great Millstone. Shalom to you, few sisters. Shalom to the elect. So I don't have much to say in this video. I tried to lay it all out in the intro of things we've been trying to say and some things we say, and hey, it's stirring up a heck of a controversy now, right? So what I want to say in this whole video that this proves who the biblical Israelites truly are. There was a guy who left a comment and said, well, Kyrie was an employee of the NBA, so he has to follow rules and guidelines. Now, every job you have a rule and you have guidelines. And in this case, it's not like when you go to work at McDonald's, they give you a $10,000 contract for 2 months. There's nothing like that. You work, and I don't think it gives a damn well who says what, right? I mean, if you're talking to amongst employers, you say what, you have an opinion. But in this case, with so much money thrown in front of your face, saying it's kind of like dangling the money in front of your face and saying you can have this, because you're dealing with contracted money. I'm not going to do a whole video on that. But when you're dealing with contracted money, it's an agreement. It's a form of an agreement between you and another party. It's not like you just get $100 million. And this is how people look at it. Now, this guy, Ben Roethlisberger, has been known on several sexual assaults, right? And I think he was suspended for 6 games. I looked that up, 6 games. And he really wasn't even suspended. He had paid 6 until he got some things situated. Then he did it again, right? Somehow it got swept under the rug. Nobody has an issue. But somehow with Michael Vick, he fought some dogs. So now we see, because this man and who he is, proving that we're the Israelites, they put more value in the dogs when it come to us than when it come to them in people, right? Just what it is. Ain't no other way to say it. That's how I'm going to say it. Just what it is. Let me get some scriptures. And to prove, it's all about proof, right? Luke 12:2. It says, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. Therefore, whatsoever ye have spoken in darkness shall be heard in the light, right? Now, that's not saying that these guys, Kyrie Irving and Nick Cannon, has now come out in defense, and the things he's saying is actually correct, but they're getting this information, and that's why the people you don't see is the ones that's the biggest threat of it all. That's why they got police up there setting up to see anything that might be said, against a doctrine or an agenda. You're done, right? So now everybody's got to speak in circles. Kyrie Irving just came out with another Instagram video. He's not looking too well, by the way. He looked depressed. Well, when thou come to serve the Lord, if you want to come on this side and serve the Lord, I believe it's Ezra 2 or 2 Ezra 2. When thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. That's what the scriptures say. You got to prepare your soul. You can't have 2 masters. You can't worship the Most High and Mammon. You can't have 2 masters. You can only have one. And even though you may wake up and say, hey, I believe this, doesn't mean you're not going to hate it because the life you lose. The scriptures also say, he that loveth his life shall lose it. Right? I mean, he who loveth his life shall lose it. He who hate it shall, gain the glory. Anyway, let me go on to Jeremiah 17:4. Again, it's a lot I'm not going to say, but everybody who knows, you get to the point. Now, why isn't any of these other people? I think the NBA commissioner some years back said something. I don't know, if somebody high in the NBA said something with the N-word, and, I remember back with this guy on, I can't remember the show, the one that played Kramer or whatever. His name escapes me, but he said it, but there was nobody saying, and we know who Kramer was supposedly anyway. The one that played Kramer, I don't know his true name, but there was nothing that I've seen that he had to be re-educated, right? And it's also what this guy said in the interview. When that stuff starts to happen, what happens with us. So basically the protection comes up when it comes to them, where the threat is. But as long as there's gangster rap, as long as they promote gangster rap, and it's those same people behind the scenes promoting gangster rap, right? Thug rapping and shooting and killing. Nope, not a problem, And the cat's out of the bag. The lion's coming out of the bag, man. It's all being shown. This guy, Kramer, Seinfeld. Okay, I'm just thinking back, Seinfeld. When that show came out, and that man supposed to said all that, I'm sure they had to issue an apology. Some of them didn't. I don't even think they ever really did. And then what they'll do, they don't have to be re-educated and sat down in front of a TV and showing all the things, right? What about Christopher Columbus? What if Kyrie posted that? What about that? What's up with that? Let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Now, you got some scholars who may read it and say that's talking about long ago or whatever. Either way, the Israelites would share that same fate throughout generations. Okay? And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way thereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Now all the scholars try to say that couldn't have been us because we was bought and sold. Well, when you look at that word buy, the original word was B-Y-E, meaning beside you. That was an old English word. Buy didn't come on the scene until after the 1300s, the one that we understand today when you buy in product. That word buy originally mean, when you go back to the 1300s, before that time, it was really redeem. And then later, 100 years later, or a couple hundred years later in the 1500s, it turned to buy with a B-Y-E. And then they associate it with buying, like buying and selling, like of slaves. And then they put the word buy in a total different context. You get the point. So, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt. So how do we know what Egypt is? The original name for Egypt is Mizraim. But when you go to Exodus, the 20th chapter, it says, I am the Lord thy God, power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. So Egypt is another Greek word, another way for saying, it's a Greek word, Egyptos, which means bondage. That's all Egypt means. So yes, do we fit? Do we fit? Yeah, here we go. Tinsdale Bible 1526 says buy, B-Y-E, right? The Tinsdale, it says, and the Lord shall bring thee again into Egypt by ship fulls, even thorough the way I said unto you, as Old English, and thou shalt no more, and thou shalt ye be sold into your enemies for bondmen and servitors, and bond servitors, bond maidens, and there shall be no man to buy you. right? And so the scholars looked at that BYE and they turned it to the BUY. That goes to show that they go off, right? And in a sense, they could have been right. It's just that when you look at a definition, you got to look at all the terminologies to that definition. That's why you got a word that says 10 different things. So that word should have been, and no man shall redeem you. No man shall redeem you, meaning no man will save you. Now, you would think what happened to us, and all that happened to us, that would be at a higher priority because the act of what it was done and what was done on a high level, and they can't even bring it to themselves to say, well, ours was just like yours. They can't even bring it to themselves to say that. You would think that all that happened, that they would say, somebody would say, wait a minute, this is serious here. People need to be re-educated on what happened to us. And funding $500,000 of everybody who says this, no matter what nationality they are, need to be funded to the black communities. Yeah, right. You won't see that. That's all I have on that. Shalom.